Hi, everyone. It's a ticket to Christ. Thank you for tuning back in. We are talking about overcoming with good, overcoming something with good, overcoming whatever the negativity is, whatever the circumstance is that's hindering you spiritually in your walk with God or blocking your blessings or coming against you, overcoming with good. And in this case, we're talking about um, an example of someone who overcame blind Bartimaeus, right? So we're in Mark chapter 10, starting in verse 46. It says, "And they came to Jericho, and as he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the highway side begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, 'Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me.' Or rather, 'Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me.'" Probably more like that. "And many charged him that he should hold his peace. But he cried the more a great deal, 'Thou son of David, have mercy on me.' And Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, 'Be of good cheer, rise, he calleth thee.' And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Jesus. And Jesus answered and said unto him, 'What wilt thou that I should do unto thee?' The blind man said unto him, 'Lord, that I might receive my sight.' And Jesus said unto him, 'Go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole.' And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way." And this is one of my favorite accounts in the Gospels. I just love everything about it. But what jumps out at you? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? For me, blind Bartimaeus, of course, he is literally blind. So he is, because of his blindness, begging. He has his beggar's robe on. That's what he does to make a living. And when he hears Jesus is walking by, he sees and knows that this is his one opportunity. Here you have the Messiah himself walking by, his one opportunity. And he's not going to miss it. And I think maybe you might not be physically blind, but maybe there's something else, something hindering God's purpose for your life, his intention for you, his blessing on your life. Maybe you are spiritually feeling blind or dull, or blocked in some way or hindered. Or maybe there's something else going on in your life whereby you need a miracle, you need an answer. And you're trying to get to Jesus, but there are hindrances to that. Maybe you're alone or for whatever the reason. So we see here with blind Bartimaeus, he started to cry out and he never stopped. Notice, even though people were saying, "Be quiet, hold your peace, they'll make such a commotion," he cried the more, a great deal. Verse 48, a great deal. So I'm seeing that rather than just sit there in his state, rather than even listen to people who are saying, "Oh, wait," or whatever, he cried out to Jesus. He cried out and never stopped crying out. And he cried out with faith. And what did he say? "Have mercy on me." He reached out to God, to Jesus, for his mercy, based on his mercy. And we see in Psalm 100, it says that God's mercy is eternal, right? It's an everlasting mercy available to us day and night. And he cried out and he based it on the mercy of God, not on whether or not he deserved it or was qualified. And I'm sure there were many people in that area who were blind and begging, but here's one crying out in faith. It says, verse 49, and Jesus stood still. So Jesus stood still. What is that, a cry of faith I'm hearing? I think Jesus is hearing a cry. There's a lot of noise going on. There are a lot of people crying, saying, Jesus, Jesus. But there was one cry, a cry of faith and a call for mercy from a blind man who people were saying, be quiet, but he didn't shut up. He kept crying all the more loudly. And then Jesus said, call him, right? So notice when he got the call, he cast away his garment, his beggar's garment, rose up and came to Jesus. So he's not coming to Jesus with any back doors, with any plan B. The plan is Jesus healing or nothing. So that beggar's garment is gone. He's like, okay, this is it. And Jesus asks, what do you want me to do for you? And so what I get from that is come to God with specifics. Articulate your need, articulate to God your heart. Because Jesus did not assume, he could see the man was blind, but he didn't say, okay, I see you're blind, you must want to see. He didn't assume. He asked, what do you want me to do? What wilt thou that I should do unto thee? And the man asked for his sight, and he got it. He went following Jesus, probably rejoicing along the way with gratitude. And so I see here, he overcame his blindness because he cried out to God for mercy. He cried out and never stopped, even though there were naysayers around around him saying, be quiet. Maybe people saying you're making too much of a commotion. He didn't care how he looked. He wasn't concerned with what people thought about him, and whether or not he came across in a seemly manner. This was not the moment whereby he would politely come up. This was a moment of desperation, a moment where he knew this was his time. This was his moment. And so I think in overcoming as well, we have to recognize our moment, the time and season that we're in. He saw this was his moment because this was the only time that Jesus would be passing by where he was. And he seized the moment and grabbed it. And sometimes I think that in not recognize the moment, the season of our lives, we can miss, God's intention for us, or a miracle, or the blessings that we could get through that, or in the season and time, allowing others to hinder what we know we should do. And sometimes that comes because we're intimidated or afraid or feel overwhelmed. The situation is too much for us, and we don't have any support and we don't know how to deal. But he just knew the only thing he needed was favor from Jesus, and that's what he reached for. And that's how you would overcome that type of situation, whether it be something physical in your health, or whether it be something spiritual or circumstances around you, anything that's coming against the good, God's purpose for you, his plan, his blessings, his promise on your life, who you need to be, the character of Christ being formed in you, the fruits of the Spirit, the power of the Holy Spirit in you, whatever the good is that's being hindered. I see here the importance of crying out to God for mercy, crying out to God without ceasing, and crying out to God with faith, a cry of faith. God will always hear that. So beloved, that is it from me. Hope this blessed you, gave you food for thought in some small way. Have a great day.